You're listening to Crystal and Emily on Love Your Shelf, the best librarian podcast in the extensive and highly competitive field of librarian podcasts.
Hello.
Hello. We're back for another episode of Love Your Shelf.
Welcome.
Yeah. We skipped a week again, but we're gonna promise to try to be very good.
Yeah. I think let's say promise to try.
Yeah.
We hope you'll accept that.
We're aiming for every week. Sometimes our aim is off.
Yeah. Exactly. Well put.
Right. So I've got, doubled up amount of stuff.
Yes.
To talk about.
Yes.
And so I'm going to jump right in.
Yes, hit me.
All right. So I seem to be stuck, and now I've gotten you stuck into this world of Final Girls.
Yep.
Yeah.
This is one we can. Is this what I think it is?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah.
Yes.
This is one we can both talk about.
Yes. And so recently I read and talked about here the Final Girls support group. And then My Heart is a Chainsaw by Stephen Graham Jones. And then I thought I was losing my mind because I saw that there was another book called, and both of those, the Final Girls support group and My Heart is a Chainsaw, just came out or are about to come out. So the latter is coming out at the end of this month, and the other one came out this past month.
Okay, cool.
But the last Final Girl, was published a couple of years ago, also by Stephen Graham Jones, but I have not read that one.
Okay, yeah.
And so I was like, surely so this is a super popular topic right now.
Yes.
And then you and I both ended up reading Final Girls by Riley Sager, also from a few years ago.
Yes.
And so...
which I picked up kind of accidentally. I wasn't mad about it, but I had searched Final Girls support group and just saw Final Girls, and I thought, maybe
must be the one.
Yeah, and maybe
how could there be so many?
Maybe the support group was kind of a loose support group. I don't know. But anyway, yeah, it was a fun read.
Yeah. So how would you?
Did you finish it?
I did.
Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, it's such a thriller. It was one that were you surprised at the end?
That does have a twist. It's like a twist of a twist.
Yes, exactly. And that's what I really liked. You were saying that the other two that you read were a little bit edgier, and this is kind of your typical thriller in a way. But I was at the beach, and I was not feeling well one of the days we were there, and I just read this all day, and it was great for that. It's a perfect book for that kind of read.
Yeah, it's quick. In fact, I was listening to it because whenever I have to clean house or do something where my hands are busy, but I don't, I can't do something else, I like to listen to something. So I listened to the first 3/4 of it, and then there were 2 hours left, and I could tell it was getting to the, the
climax,
final resolution or whatever. And so I just ended it and picked up the regular book.
Oh, nice.
So that I could just read it really quickly.
Yes, because
I could finish it in 45 minutes instead of, or 30.
Listening to
Because
I was telling you, too, there were points where I was like, oh my gosh, I'm so nervous to see what's going to happen. I was reading extra fast. So, yeah. And otherwise, the audiobook is and then.
Exactly. Yeah. You're no. We got to move on.
Move this along.
Yes. So.
Anyway, it was fun, and I'm excited to dive deeper into this realm of Final Girls.
Yeah. And in fact, all of them have... You would think that, all of these things are maybe going to be kind of similar. But they're really not.
Yeah.
They're very different books, and this notion, in case somebody's not familiar with the idea of a final girl, it's kind of a movie geek term for the tendency in horror films to have, one
remaining,
is
usually
left alive.
Yeah, usually a girl.
Usually a young woman,
The Jamie Lee Curtis. Yeah.
Yeah. And so it's this huge trope. You see it all the time. And so, but they're playing with that idea as if in these, fictional worlds, they're really,
it's the aftermath.
Really happening.
It's the aftermath. Because, I mean, that is a thought that I've had watching those movies. Like, well, great, now this person's life is ruined. Like, I'm glad they quote unquote survived.
Yeah.
But
well, in like the movie series Scream talks about that too. Like in the subsequent Scream movies, like Sydney is the one who survives, and she is, has PTSD.
Yeah.
And I think in one of the films, she's like a hotline operator for people with trauma and stuff. And so
I need to watch those. It's been a while.
Yeah. I mean, I was a Scream fan. Back in the day, because it's definitely it's not. I mean, it is parody, but it's tongue in cheek.
Exactly. Yes.
So there's it's sort of commenting on in a very meta way of these other horror movie things.
Right.
And so I don't know. I didn't set out to become an expert on Final Girls, but I kind of think
that's our next podcast.
Yeah, right.
Just all about Final Girls.
Just that. Yeah. And so I've also got another couple of recommendations that are either about to be adapted into a film or have already been.
Fun.
Yes. And so Jojo Moyes is a writer I've talked about before. She's wrote Me Before You and Me After You and Still Me. And I'm not
now
kidding.
You're
Those
just
are the
saying
titles. Me. She wrote a book called Last Letter from Your Lover, and it just came out this year, an adaptation of it with Shailene Woodley and Felicity Jones.
Yes.
It's on Netflix, and it's basically a woman in contemporary time finds these letters and becomes really interested in the story that seems to be coming out of these letters, and they were written in the 60s. And then it flashes back and forth between those characters that are depicted in the letters and how their lives were affected, and then what she finds out in the future. And it's not bad.
Cool.
Yeah,
excellent.
It's pretty good. And I had read the book years ago and was interested to see how the adaptation did it.
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah,
I'll have to
I
check
would
it out.
recommend it. I mean, not the most amazing thing I've ever seen, but solid.
I mean, those can go really far down and away from what they
originally were, and some of those could be more on the the Lifetime movie,
right?
This one definitely was.
You saying that is an amazing recommendation.
Yeah, totally elevated beyond Lifetime
as
movie.
Far as that goes.
And then let's see. Oh, this one is going to be adapted into, I think, a series. Y: The Last Man.
Okay.
So the letter Y. I think I've talked about it before, but it is a graphic novel series, and it was just 10 issues, and I read it years ago, and it's about it's an alternative dystopian future where all of the men die except for one.
Oh,
so
I'm into this, and I do remember this now.
Yeah. And so, as you can imagine, that's pretty rife with lots of ways that could be explored.
Yeah.
And so I saw that it was going to be a series. I need to reread this.
Yep.
And so I have a copy of it that's all of the issues in one. And
fun.
Yeah, and that's good. And it reminded me of another graphic novel series that I was reading at the same time, and I think that has also been adapted, but I haven't seen it, called Transmetropolitan. It's a real sci-fi future, also dystopian, and not nearly as good, I think, as Y: The Last Man, but it made me think of those two, and I thought if anybody's interested in graphic novel kind of stuff, or even if you're not and you have wondered, I think those kinds of things are the ones to get into.
Cool.
there's a handful of those that if you don't care about graphic novels, there's still some that you should read because they're like the highest form of those. I think.
Highest form.
Love it. Yeah. And then I've watched quite a few other things, but I will mention a couple of other books that before I go into those. A Heartbreaking Work of Staggering Genius by Dave Eggers. I just was so intrigued by Dave Eggers' story and then what he's done with his life since then. Mm-hmm. So I want to say it's probably 20 years ago that this book came out. And he was very young. He was in his 20s when he wrote this book. And it's about his life. And what happened is he was in his 20s. I think he was in college. And he had a younger brother, much younger brother, who was a child. And both of their parents passed away, like in quick succession. And so his younger brother was left with him. They were all they had, you know. And so he, it kind of documents his bringing up his brother and all of these kinds of things. And it literally is. I mean, well, the title is not that much of a stretch. It really is pretty heartbreaking.
Oh, goodness.
And the staggering genius part, he's being, tongue in cheek about that.
Sure.
It's pretty good though. And then that work became a bestseller. Okay. Made a ton of money. And he took that and then it started this publishing kind of empire that does all of these really amazing things. And so there's a quarterly journal called McSweeney's that they just play with the form and it's always something different. I may have mentioned this before, but I want everybody to go out and check it out. Yeah. So one of the quarterly issues is like a package and it's a pile of mail, but it's all fabricated fictional stuff.
Yes.
There's some letters in there and it's all funny. Yes. Some of it's funnier than others. And then there's like an insert for like an athletic store, like a camping kind of store. Oh, okay. And then there's like 3-legged pants and it has people modeling these really weird stuff. And then there's like a quarterly journal, but it's like for the study of Bigfoot.
Love it.
And then, there's just, it's just goofy stuff. Yeah. Another one, it's a box and all of the things in it are, just little like pieces of ephemera and I collected it for years. Cool. And then I moved so much that they kept getting my address messed up. And I stopped collecting them because I wasn't getting them. But I still have a whole bunch of them. And I, if somebody comes over to my house and we start talking about literature books or whatever, I'm like, you gotta check this stuff out.
Or if you run out of anything to talk about, this is a great conversation starter.
Exactly. Like, okay, let me show you this because you're bored.
Yeah.
And but see, he also made there's also a monthly magazine called The Believer, and I collected that as well. But they're all done in these like really unique. It's not like a glossy regular magazine. It's very, when I say self-published, I don't, it's not that, but it's bespoke, sort of. It's very unusual. And The Believer, there was also a DVD quarterly that was like a short film collection you could get every 3 months that was called Wolfen, which is like a whale dolphin. Anyway, I don't know. They're all very weird. But of course. And The Believer would often have a CD of like curated music or films and they're just like awesome stuff. Cool. And stuff you would not mainstream stuff at all. Yeah. But just really interesting pieces. Yeah. People using their imagination and putting it out there. Yeah. I love it. And he also, there's probably somebody out there that's like, yeah, you've talked about this before. We remember all of this. And so we're very bored now. I have a terrible memory, so I'm like, you can keep telling me. It's fine. Yeah. Thank you. This is her fault. She's an enabler. And it's like, just got to talk about it again. Yeah. He also because he had this like dynamic with his younger brother, they wrote these fictional books, and now I can't remember the exact name, but it's like Dr. and Mrs. Mr. Haggis Way. And so it's like, obviously like kind of like goofy kind of stuff. Yeah. But the Dr. Haggis Way, who has this, she's a accomplished sort of like, but goofy woman. Yes. Who has this very like doltish husband, Mr. Haggis Way is like useless.
Womp womp. Yeah.
Yeah. And one of the books is called Giraffe.
Like giraffe period or exclamation point?
I think it's a question mark and then an exclamation point.
Oh, got it. Okay.
Or, something like that. But just weird stuff. If you're into that kind of thing, you can. It's like an endless amount of like content that you can use there. They also briefly had a food magazine called Lucky Peach, and that's still like a brand now. I don't think magazine still exists anymore, but the brand Lucky Peach does. And
all of this was done under the publishing company that he started.
Yes.
With that money. Cool.
And he also did like a tutoring kind of like writing workshop, tutoring assistance for kids, like an institute that was called 826 Valencia, which was in, I think, San Francisco. It's in California. And the front of it is a pirate supply store. Like, literally has pirate supplies.
Of course.
And then in the back, they have, like tutorials for kids and stuff.
Cool. How fun.
Yeah, it's just great. And then there's 826 blah, 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 other places now. So all over the country.
Right.
And they all have they're different supplies. There's only one pirate supply store.
Right.
And one's made like an astronaut supply store or.
Oh my gosh, I love it. I love it.
Really fun
That's
stuff.
Cool.
And so, for some reason I was talking about that recently. I was like, I'd kind of share that one.
We'll have to have a Nacogdoches branch.
Yeah. I mean, and in fact, when I lived in Lubbock, I was part of a committee that wrote it, because they do, that you have to, you can apply to have one.
Yeah.
And we had a committee that tried to get one in Lubbock.
Awesome.
I think we were too boring, though. They decided they wanted to try to be a cowboy supply store, but I was like, those literally exist in Lubbock.
No, that's not ironic in Texas, okay? That's just things people need.
Right. It's like the feed store down the street,
right.
So that didn't happen, but maybe we could do that somewhere.
Yeah, we'll have to brainstorm.
And then I also came across my copy of Rosencrantz and Guildenstern Are Dead. And it's a play by Tom Stoppard, who's amazing. Just anything that Tom Stoppard does, just you can go ahead and do it. And there is a film adaptation of that one too, that is another one of those that if somebody hasn't seen it, I'm like, you need to go stop what you're doing right now. Go find this movie.
I'm gonna leave now.
Emily's gone now. And go watch this movie because it's Tim Roth and Gary Oldman, and it's mostly just those two. And it's based on Hamlet because Rosencrantz and Guildenstern are Hamlet's two friends who are kind of in the periphery for the film or for the play. Yeah. And then
did SFA perform this not that long ago?
They might have.
I want to say they did.
Yeah.
Because I was upset that I missed it.
But it takes like the Shakespearean language, but then it's got these two like goofy guys who are like doing this back and forth patter, and I just don't know anybody else who could approximate Shakespeare in this way.
Yes.
And then those two actors,
brilliant,
perfection, and it's just fantastic. Yeah. Fantastic. So definitely. I don't even know where that would be, where you could find it now, but
the play.
Yeah. The film adaptation.
Got it.
Because I think I want to say it was in the early 90s.
Yeah, we might have to do some like deep diving on that one.
Yeah, it's worth it for sure. And so I watched some things. A couple of more that I had not read the original novel, but they're also adaptations. The Pursuit of Love came out recently. It's on Amazon Prime.
Okay.
And you might be familiar with the actress Emily Mortimer. She's
I know
British.
the name.
Yeah, she's done quite a few things, but she wrote and directed this.
Okay.
And she's also acts in it. And it's based on a book by Nancy Mitford. And so I think it's just a short series, I think like six episodes. But it's very good.
Yeah.
It's period piece.
Yeah.
And I would highly recommend it.
Cool. Okay. I've almost hit play a few times and haven't. So
yeah, it's definitely worth it.
there we go. I'll have to pull the trigger.
And so then after I watched that, I was interested in finding out more about the book and anything else. And I saw that there was another adaptation of that same novel from 2001.
Okay.
And it was like, I think it was like a BBC production or something. It was definitely not like a glossy Netflixy type thing.
Right.
And it's called Love in a Cold Climate. And Rosamund Pike is in it.
Oh.
And she's very young
Oh,
in it.
wow. Yeah.
And it did not age very
Ooh,
well.
really?
And it was pretty clearly, like I said, it was like a TV
Yeah,
kind of version
yeah,
of it.
yeah.
I did not finish that.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. Okay. Fair
Because
enough.
I was also like, okay, I know the story.
Yeah. I don't need to
And-
sit around for this. Yeah. Not here for the production.
No. But the other one, The Pursuit of Love, I would recommend for
Cool.
sure.
That's good to know.
And then I watched something that I don't know. I don't know why. I guess I was on vacation
Yes.
a week ago.
Yes.
And so that's why I have seen
Why
some
not?
of these things.
Yes.
So it was just like whatever it served up to me. I was like, okay.
Yeah.
I'll
What do
try
I
that.
have to lose?
2 hours of your life is the answer to that.
No.
So there were a few. So
You live and learn, I guess.
yeah, exactly.
Or
Well,
don't. I don't know.
This is the please do not watch these section of the.
Oh, I love this almost just as much. So
I mean, some people might enjoy these. In fact, one of them that I'm going to mention, I had a friend who was like, it was perfect. I loved it.
oh goodness, yeah. And you're like, wait, what?
No. But there was a movie on Prime also called I See You but Helen Hunt is in it. And it's from 2019. And I can see why it was under the radar because
Really?
it is not good.
Wait, what is it about?
There's
I'm
kind of
wondering if I've seen it. See, bad memory.
Well, okay. So there is I don't want to say too much because if you do watch it, there is something that will kind of give things away. But there's thing called frogging, like PHR,
Okay.
where like people hide inside of a house.
Okay. Yes. I started it and could not watch it because it was making me so anxious. I was
could see that,
so
yeah.
stressed out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it just turns out that it's just not that good.
Okay, because it felt like it was really building up. And maybe that was just me with this particular scenario. I was just like, no.
Well, ever since I saw like there's a couple of them, but there's one particular like home video or not like a security video footage of a woman who was living inside somebody's
I think
house.
you showed this to me.
Yeah, and ever since I
Horrifying.
saw that, it ruined my life.
It was something, yeah. No, it was something like the guy had been like hearing noises or like food was missing or something. And
yeah,
so
he thought he was crazy.
Yeah.
because like things would go missing.
So
But
he like sets up a camera in his kitchen and, you know.
then like above the cabinets in his kitchen, you just see this like person slowly
crawling
drop
out
down
like the
out of the
girl
ceiling.
on the rings style, like,
Yes.
maybe I'm remembering it wrong, but
Goosebumps. Still, just terrible idea. Like terrible.
yeah, like
everything
climbs
like
like onto the refrigerator or something and climbs down and then starts like eating his food. Oh my God.
yes. And so yeah,
It's the worst thing in the world.
it really is. And so yeah, I'm also like, if I hear some noise, I'm like, is that somebody in my attic? Or,
Please
you know,
get out of here. I'm just going to start.
I'm gonna leave. When I come back, you better be gone.
If you eat my ice cream, I swear.
I'm marking where it is.
Yeah.
You know.
Just treat him like a roommate.
You didn't do your dishes. Yeah. Yeah, so but I can also like see myself in like humorously.
Yes.
You know, like getting into like imaginary conflict with my imaginary squatter roommate. So that I would not recommend. So I switched genres there, and I watched a movie called Jolt with Kate Beckinsale.
Okay.
Who I don't know. I'm lukewarm on her.
Same. Yeah. Agreed.
She's sometimes she's good, sometimes not.
Yeah.
So much.
I've not heard of this though.
This is like a real comic book kind of like she plays a character who when she gets like distressed, she can like shock you or like she has superpower, super strength or whatever, but only when she's like stressed out or anxious. You know?
I'd be good all the time.
You're right. Yeah.
I mean, and when I say good, I mean like I'd have my powers all the time because I'm stressed all the time.
You're right, exactly.
To clarify,
it would be not good is what it would be. And it was okay.
Yeah.
But nothing to write home about. And
when was it made?
Recently.
Huh.
Yeah. Now I can't recall what
platform
streaming service it was on, but it was one of those that was kind of like, I think it must be pretty new because I think it was like,
advertised.
It,
yeah. I don't remember it, but maybe the algorithm didn't think I was interested or something.
Yeah. And then there's another one again, I'm still like not recommending these, called Stoker.
Okay.
Which I guess it got served to me because I had been watching this series that I love that I'm like reserving episodes.
Oh, to stretch it out
because it's only 3 seasons, I think. Called The Wine Show.
I don't know it.
Who knows? Okay, so Matthew Good.
WH or WIY?
WI.
Okay, the
like
good kind.
The beverage.
Okay.
And so Matthew Good and Matthew Rhys are both British actors who are amazing in their own very different ways. And they're on this like reality like documentary about wine. And so there's like a sommelier, like a wine expert who lets them try wine, and they talk about it, and they go to, and they're like on a villa in Italy, and it's just one of those
just
like
pleasant.
Love
it.
I want to watch these 2 good-looking, funny British guys.
Forever.
Drink wine.
Yeah.
You know, I can.
Yeah.
Yeah, forever.
That sounds lovely.
This is Crystal's version of heaven. I
guess.
Yeah. And it's just they're funny, but it's not like. It's kind of like
they're not like class
British,
clown,
kind of silliness.
Yes, right.
And so I guess because I've been watching that, it tells me I should watch Stoker, which Matthew Good is in, and also Nicole Kidman, and it's directed by Park Chan-wook, who also made Old Boy, and he's a Korean filmmaker.
Yeah, I don't know.
Who highly regarded, and it's on HBO. And then I saw it was written by Wentworth Miller, who is an actor who was probably best known for being the main character in that TV series called Prison Break.
Okay, yeah, I've not watched it, but I
yeah. So I was like, lots of good things about this that I went,
but no, what a shame. I hate when that happens.
Yeah, it just was. Basically, Nicole Kidman plays a mother, and there's a teenage daughter, and that her father passes away, and his younger brother comes to the funeral, and then just kind of stays, and there's something mysterious about him, and that's Matthew Good who plays that character. And it just didn't work.
Yeah.
No, I didn't like it.
Yeah.
I watched the whole thing. I mean, I didn't stop it in the middle and storm off. But.
Right. But because, that alone, what you just said, that premise, is really intriguing. But you've got to really make the end worth it for something like that. Like, because it sounds like something that would have a bit of a build-up.
And it was a little bit, or maybe a lot of bit, self-conscious, and so it was like very filmmakery aspects to it.
Sometimes that's distracting.
It was. It did not serve the story well, because the story is a little bit like broad, like, mysterious uncle, like that's not been done before, and so it was just disappointing.
Yeah, womp womp.
Yeah, and so then I was looking for something to another like tonal shift. So it's like, well, I'll watch something that everybody's like super jazzed about.
Yeah,
and I watched The Suicide Squad.
We watched it too.
Okay. So
I want to hear your thoughts. We're both looking at each other with like,
yeah. What are you?
Because okay, go ahead.
I was not prepared. First of all, I've seen enough of the DC and Marvel and all this.
Yeah.
But I haven't watched all of it.
Same.
Not up on all of it.
Same.
And this was a slapstick kind of highly violent, slapsticky kind of goofy thing.
And I felt like even the slapstick parts were cheesy and kind of lazy.
It was, and people make this comment about all kinds of comic book and graphic novel adaptations and stuff, that they're made for 12-year-old boys. This one, 100%. It was not made for any other human beings.
No, totally. I will say this. I watched the whole thing, which says something. Like, I was somewhat entertained through the movie.
Yeah.
Because I will stop something in the middle of it if I'm not feeling it. But so I was entertained, I guess. But there were some great lines. There's a great Harley Quinn line with her. She talks about ex-boyfriends or something. Do you know what I'm talking about? Yeah. Anyway, yeah. I thought it was, like I said, I thought it was kind of felt lazy. I felt like it could have been like the dialogue could have been, I don't know, wittier, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah, it just wasn't elevating anything.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And so, and I don't mind like comic booky stuff.
I love it.
I can eat it up sometimes.
Same.
But this, I was not the target audience for that.
No.
And even some of those things that clearly I'm not, I can also, like get into or appreciate.
Yeah.
But it just, overall, I was disappointed.
I will say I went into it with very, very, very low expectations because
I had no expectation for it because I didn't know anything about
I
it.
didn't even finish the first Suicide Squad because, I don't know, I don't remember. There you go. But I remember everyone was like going on about how bad it was. And so with this one, I was like, how bad can it be? Worse than the other one? And I don't think it was worse than the other one. I'll say that. But, yeah.
So, I needed some final palate cleansing.
Yes.
And I ended up with, the last two I'll talk about are things that I do strongly recommend. First one's a documentary from 3 years ago or so that popped up on Netflix, and it's Gina Davis, the actress, made it, and it's called This Changes Everything, and it's a bunch of female actors who talk about gender discrimination in the film industry.
Yes.
And it's got like Meryl Streep, Rashida Jones, Reese Witherspoon, Tiffany Haddish, Sandra Oh, Jessica Chastain.
Cool.
And they talk about their experiences, and then they talk about, like the overall, like, sort of how the history of film has changed, and, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And so it's good.
Cool.
It's not...
It's on my list.
Yeah, exactly. It's worth watching for sure. But the last one that I'll mention is a movie that came out in the 90s, somewhere in the 90s. Okay. And it's on HBO now. It's called Dead Man. And it was one of those that in my 20s, that this was the one that if somebody hadn't watched it, this would be the one that I'd be like stop what you're doing, go get this movie,
leave right now,
watch it now, or let me just fire it up because I've got a copy right here. Let's
I have it on hand in my VHS player at all times.
It was 100% on VHS, yes. And I wore it out, like probably multiple copies wore out. But it's directed by Jim Jarmusch, who is an indie filmmaker who makes amazing stuff. I'll give you some other recommendations of his too. But Johnny Depp is the main character. I know he's like turned kind of problematic recently, but this was like in his heyday.
Prime.
And he was, like Mr. Hollywood. And then he makes this black and white indie film where he plays a character named William Blake, which is the name of a romantic poet. But he's like plays this sort of young, lowly accountant who gets on a train to the Wild West and gets into shenanigans.
Okay.
And then runs into a Native American called Nobody. And it's very poetic and dreamy and it's violent.
Cool.
So it's like...
Not cool at the violence. I said that at the wrong part. But in general, cool.
Right, yeah. And so it's a period piece. It's set in 19th century American West, which is like this kind of viewed as a wasteland, and it is, since it's black and white, it's very stark. And all of the characters that he runs into are bad. Just, he's gotten the job, which is why he's left from the East Coast to go out here to get this job as an accountant or whatever, and a bookkeeper, and just run like all these people are just vile. He ends up getting involved in some, bad business, and he gets shot. I'm not giving anything away, but then.
You're like, let me just
start
from the beginning.
Okay, here we go. He's in the train. And but anyway, so then he goes on this like journey because he's trying to outrun this like bad boss guy.
Okay.
And
fun.
It is good. The score is by Neil Young, and it
awesome.
It just makes the movie.
Awesome.
It's like kind of like discordant, but it has like this theme that runs through it. Oh man, I would just totally recommend this.
Yeah.
And it's all this kind of commentary on the Industrial Revolution and I don't know, like life and death, and it's I don't know.
Life lessons you'll walk away with life lessons. Is that
it is
what
very
you're saying?
much, yes, very thoughtful. You'll definitely if you're anything like me, you'll be like, I need to start this over again from the beginning and watch it again.
Yeah,
because what the heck just happened?
That's the best.
Yeah. So highly recommend that. And then if you like that, Jim Jarmusch also, like one of his first films was Down by Law. And there was another one called Mystery Train and Night on Earth. These were all like in the 80s. And they were indie films, but they were really highly acclaimed, and so he really made a name for himself. And then after this film, he made Coffee and Cigarettes, which was a good
heard
one.
Of it. I've not seen it.
Broken Flowers. And then, I don't know if it's his most recent one, but there's Only Lovers Left Alive, which is amazing. It is really good. It's about vampires, but in a...
Love it.
But in a rock and roll kind of
cool
vampire thing.
Cool.
Where it's, not anything that you've ever seen before.
Did not expect vampire to come out of your mouth just then. But I was kind of surprised and, pleased.
Yeah. So, watch any of those.
Cool.
But Dead Man is, and I watched it again because it had been a while. Like I wore it out years ago, but I hadn't seen it in a long time, and it holds up. So
love that. Cool.
Yeah. So I feel like I've just been
jibber
jabbering.
No, I love it. This is great.
And so that's it. We are gonna be back in a week.
We're going to try our very, very hardest.
We're promising to try. And we've got lots more stuff to talk about.
Yeah, we do.
Yeah.
Cool.
So, have a great weekend.
Yeah.
And we'll see you next time.
Bye, guys.
Bye.